situation in Bawku and how to deal with it. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you.
Great. So the Bawku issue has been a troubling one for decades. Tonight we have an IGP who goes and makes an offer to the youth: lay down your tools and we recruit you into the Ghana Police Service. I don't know, in conflict resolution, is that one tool that is deployed, and is this something that has been deployed somewhere and it worked? Because clearly this is what the IGP's plan is in dealing with Bawku after almost all plans have failed. Is this one of the conflict resolution mechanisms or tools that you are aware of that can help solve conflicts?
First of all, I'm a security consultant and I would prefer to be addressed as such. Number two,
that's actually that's actually what I said. I said you're a security consultant. Okay. Apologies if I said something else.
When IGP went to the north to do security risk assessment, to be able to assess for himself what goes on in the front line and why the methodologies we have used over the years did not work to ensure that public safety challenges are addressed effectively. To that regard, I was thinking he will concentrate with that and get as much information and as much feeling as possible so that when he gets back home, he will have a frank discussion with the president. Coupled with the fact that the president was also speaking today in that same regard, knowing that IGP is up north in Bawku. When he said they should lay down their arms and to be recruited into the police service, I think that's a statement that should not be coming from the IGP. He has not set up the criteria. He has not set up the modalities. The Minister of Interior has set up a committee which I think you, our brothers in the media, will need to ask the Minister of Interior whether the committee has finished up with the work on the modalities for people getting involved into the security agencies, particularly the police. The police is working today because politicians and security officers who must know better have bastardized the place with recruitment, and people who do not have business joining the police service has been there. So it's an unfortunate statement, and I think he will need to look at it again and do something about it.
The minority side describes this as absurd. You say it's unfortunate. In your view, this is not a way to go at all.
It should not be coming from the head of the police.
And what are the reasons? So the minority spokesperson who spoke said, you risk having one group turn on another if they get recruited and another one doesn't get recruited. That is his view. What are your reasons? If you could just itemize for us why you think this is not proper.
That recruitment into the police service in particular should be based on criteria, and it should be based on standardization. What we have done over the years is making the government not reaping the dividends of the kinds of people who join the police service in particular. Today, when you go to the Ghana Police Service, you have a lot of protocol police officers, you have a lot more of party police officers, and few number of professional police officers. And that is why, after many years, when you think you've given them a term of 4 to 8 years, they are still babies in a court and they are armchair investigators. If we do not follow the peculiar criteria for recruiting people and there are no standardization, it will continue for a very long time. And I think it's the wisdom of that the current Minister of Interior set up a committee to review the recruitment process. And I think the IGP should be aware of that there has to be a recruitment criteria and there's a procedure going on to review the whole structure. So to say that, I think it's unfortunate. And I think looking back, he would need to look at it again. Since we are all talking about standardizations and criteria and effectiveness of the Ghana Police Service that is capable of dealing with professional policing and meeting the challenges of the day.
Okay, so you're looking at the general issues with recruitment, but are you not missing the bigger picture? The end game is end a conflict that has lasted for decades in one of the most important towns in this country. If this is what it takes to bring peace to Bawku, so be it. The end will justify the means. Don't you agree?
Where did they get the guns from? The young ones is asking them to lay down their guns. Where did they get the guns from? The type of guns they are holding, the nature of the guns they are holding, where did they get it from? I think if you want to root it out, then plead with those who buy the guns for them, so that you can kill it from both ends.
But that appears to have been difficult over the years, and the guns are still there anyway. So if you would have them put these guns down, regardless of how they got them and where they got them, I wanted to see if so for you. I wanted to see if you could look at the bigger picture in the end game and say, well, regardless of the process that is going to be used, even if they are not qualified, or maybe if they are qualified, let them be recruited. At least their attention will be turned elsewhere, so that they do not engage in the fight or in the conflict. Perhaps that's what the IGP is thinking. Is you do not think so at all?
No, the other side of it is that many of them who have engaged in gun violence and who have run away from the place and seek other jobs. When you put them into the security architecture and you have no methodology of monitoring them, then you have equipped them one step ahead. And once they lay hands on the guns that they are now professionally able to shoot, you are creating a problem for us. If you look back and look at Operation Gongon, then you can draw some lessons from there, and that should be a guiding principle. I'm not against people from Bawku who join the police or the military or any side, but I think it has to be standardized, and there has to be a criteria to be faced, because there's a supply and demand. We should rather be tackling, as big people, we should be tackling the big people who give them the guns and deal with them precisely from a crime prevention point of view. Then these young ones do not have access to guns. But once they have a taste for guns, and you put them into the security services purposely because you think idle hands will find jobs. Now, when they get trained and they are recruited and they get trained and they can lay hands on professional weaponry, you might be in for trouble. And that is what I'm looking at.
You have referenced Operation Gongon. For those who may not remember, if you could just quickly refresh us, and you say that should be the yardstick or the touchstone for measuring the success of such operations. Can you share with us what was Operation Gongon and how did you feel?
If you look at some of the lessons we learned from Operation Gongon, it should be a guiding principle of using some of these methodologies in an attempt to stop the conflict, peculiar conflict such as the one we are having in Bawku. Everybody who have access to Bawku and all the people who are speaking, particularly the IGP, they know the root causes of the conflict in Bawku, and they know the current status. And I believe he wants to be abreast with the past. That is why he's up north. Having said that, the proposal he's making, yes, as soon as it may be, in terms of security management and resolving conflict, I think he needs to look at it again.
So if this is not the solution, what is the solution?
There are two sides of the conflict. What the security officers are doing there, they are managing the public safety challenges that comes out as a result of the root causes of the conflict. And so if you listen to what the president said, he said that Shantihini led delegation will bring permanent peace to Bawku. Their approach is always slow, and that is the way they've worked all these years. But until those assigned with the responsibility of dealing with culture, tradition, and chieftaincy in particular, until they are able to do that, those are the root causes of what fuels up the public safety challenges we are seeing in the public space. And that is where the police come in. And we are all aware from security management point of view and from conflict resolution, you do not use military, you do not use the police in a manner we are using them, thinking that one day will wake up and they will be able to resolve the conflict in Bawku. What they are there purposely to do is the first line of action, where their responsibility is to ensure that public safety challenges are dealt with as quickly as possible, to ensure that many more people have not been harmed and deteriorated. But they have no business in resolving the conflict because they do not have that capacity and they do not have the methodology in doing that. And that is why we are struggling.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome, man.
So that's Richard Kumado. He's a security consultant speaking to us there. And he mentioned Operation Gongon. Lots of you wondering what that is. So let me just read for you from the archives.